Today, information system class have to do with databases. So we cover all the way from data, information, and intelligence, how we convert data into useful data called information, and how we convert useful information in what is called intelligence. So we started in our first screen that we are showing in this first part by creating the different components of the screen that is going to collect information about the customers in a company. So we started by looking at the first name, that last name, address, and looking at different text boxes and the records and the different data types that are going to be part of the database related to customers. We have a discussion about the social security and the telephone number and the zip code, if there are numbers or not. And then we added some components related to another database that we're going to be using to create an order using quantity and the prices and the purchase order, how we're going to relate the customer screen with all the information that we need to later add the parts of this database of customers to a purchase order database that is going to be also connected to the inventory database. We also check for the checkboxes and the different radio buttons. And we also talk about the different ways of how numbers are written in different parts of the world, and also the date, how the date can be written months, day before, etc. We're going to show a second screen that shows you how we connect this first screen or the first tier of the network to a connectivity piece to be able to connect them to the records and do some functions related to new customers, existing customers, and ordering into different parts of databases, or the relationship between one or other tables, what is a primary key, what is a record, an entity of fields, etc. So we're going to stop this first part of this screen, this whiteboard screen, and then we're going to move to the other two screens that we have in the other side of the room. From the other screen that we had before, we moved to this second whiteboard, where you can see on this side of the screen that we have all the connectivity, all the pieces that we use to connect to the database, then to read, write, select the records that are already in the table, and then do other functions like adding a new record, modifying the record, or deleting the record. During the class, we were moving back and forth from the screen to the connectivity part to be able to send the records that were written in the different part of the screen to the tables. Of course, here you're not going to see the initial table that we did with the customers, because we erased that table and we replaced it for this table that you see here. But more or less the same concept. We have in the different records the primary key, what are the different types of entities or fields that we have in the table, what other information we have, and how we insert, modify, and delete all these records into a specific database, initially in the database related to the customers, and all the information related to the customers. Then on the second part of the class, we were moving into the relation between the customer and the order that he's placing by adding the inventory database, the inventory tables that have all the quantity, the pass number, the unit prices that we have in the database. And then we combine the customer databases with the inventory to produce purchase order table that we don't see here in the screen, but the purchase order database have a combination of the customer information and the inventory information that we can see here on the table. This is the final invoice that we did with the students. The student created an invoice that have all the information on the customer. Well, not all the information on the customer, that have only the name and the address. So they go on the table, on the invoice. You have a primary key, that the primary key is necessary to identify the purchase order. And then you have the pieces of the inventory database that we need, that are the quantity, the part name, and the part number. And then we did the calculations. We did the calculation by multiplying the quantities with the unit price to come out with a total, a subtotal, that then we apply the taxes. Here in Florida, 7%, and we came out with the invoice. We see here the invoice that we came that include the subtotal, the taxes, and the final total. And over here we have some of the calculations that we use. That, for example, we use the tax calculation that you can see over there in the table, the tax calculation. And also we did, once that we know the tax calculation, we know the final or total amount of money that the customer has to pay. That was a very interesting class to show students how databases work, how students that are in business administration and the supervision and management can have a conversation with database administrators, with database management systems, create the solution that the company needs. We talk about validation, we talk about data integration, database integration, we talk about security and error messages and all these different topics that relate to the safety and the integration of the database. I hope that you enjoyed this little video. It's not the same like we do in the face-to-face class, but at least give you an idea of the concepts that we use and how we can extract from the chapters in the book the knowledge and the information that you need to work this area of technology management.